So we're going to jump back into Alan Bates's testimony to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and not long after his exchange of letters with his new retail line manager, where he said, "Stop rolling over shortages and gains," and he said, "I've got an issue here," and there's been quotes of the contract back and forth, including the correction from Alan Bates and the assertion that the errors aren't due to him or his staff. Alan Bates receives a letter dismissing him from his contract with the post office and gives him 3 months' notice without any reason at all. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Please to poll 404598, page 30. That's the same bundle. Page 30. Scroll down, please. Mr. Wakely, in accordance with your contract, I'm writing to issue you with 3 months' notice of termination of your contract. The termination will take effect on the 5th of November 2003.
So whether that was due to Alan Bates's refusal to pay back the shortfall, or whether because, there was no answers to the valid points he was making, it does seem to be not long after the letter exchange that we looked at in the previous video, where he says, "I'm happy to make good any shortfalls caused by me and my staff, but not those of the computer system."
So this is the letter that brought your contract to an end, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
The letter, of course, speaks for itself. It gave you no explanation for the reason for termination of your contract.
That's correct, yep.
But was any such explanation given to you by the post office at this time?
Never.
It may seem an insensitive question, but how did receiving this notice make you feel?
Well, I was annoyed with them, but to put it mildly, but I think it was partly expected in a way, because it was pretty obvious they were determined to, they were after me one way or another, and the build-up of correspondence over the period was certainly pointing in that direction. But I always find it quite interesting that I pulled them up on the point about trying to terminate my contract under clause 12 of the contract, but they didn't do it that way. They decided to go just under this, any reason they wanted, 3 months' notice without giving a reason.
So it's a without fault, without reason.
That's right. Yeah.
Termination, just on 3 months' written notice.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's terrible, isn't it? You can put your heart, soul and savings into a business and then just be terminated just like that without even the courtesy of a reason, despite having been there for 5 years at that point.
But you'd had the £1,100 written off.
Mm-hmm.
You'd had the post office acknowledging that it was because of a genuine dispute over whether Horizon was to blame for it, over the operation of Horizon. You'd been rolling over other shortfalls and surpluses since then with post office knowledge, and then this arrives.
Well, it was it was a bit strange in a way, because we were a very busy post office. In fact, it was a time when a lot of post offices were losing trade, but our sales figures were extremely high in the region. We developed a lot of new business in there, but it was their decision to do it, and so be it. I did offer at one point, when there were discussions between the retail manager and myself, when we were heading in this direction. He was saying, "Come on, Alan, change your mind, do this, do that," and all the rest of it. And I was saying, "Look, if you're unhappy with the way that I'm providing your service, then pay us back our initial investment and take the post office away." I would have been quite happy for them to do that. And I probably wouldn't have been here today on that basis. But, they just decided they were going to, I felt, they were going to make a lesson of my case, because a number of other people knew what was going on at that time. And I think it was something the post office liked to try and give lessons of how they were in charge.
And that's not a great way to operate, is it, to put it mildly? And the fact that actually you're saying, "Joe, what, I'll walk away, just give me my money back that I've invested," seems perfectly reasonable, particularly when, as Alan Bates says, he's improved the business, the sales are going through the roof. it's like, well, have increased anyway. Maybe I'm adding a bit extra to that, but certainly the business seemed to be heading in the right direction at that point. So commercially, it would make no sense to terminate the contract, but he has raised issues with the Horizon system.
We just looked before the morning break at some reasoning that the post office gave subsequently for terminating your contract. To start with, can we look at poll 00107538 and page 11, please? This is a letter written to an MP, Betty Williams, in relation to a letter that she wrote as a constituency MP to Alan Layton, the then chairman of the post office. And it's the 29th of October. If we just go to the second page, scroll down, we can see who it's written by. Dave Barrett, Head of Commercial Urban Area for Wales, the Marches and Merseyside. Back to page 1. And look at the second paragraph. Briefly, we've given notice to Mr. Bates, the present Subpostmaster, that we're withdrawing from our contract with him. And then this is because we've lost confidence in his willingness to conduct the job in the manner expected. Was that ever explained to you, that they had lost confidence in your willingness to conduct the job in the manner expected?
He was willing to conduct it, but maybe not in the way that meant he was going to be responsible for something which he believed at the time and was subsequently proven right to be an error with the Horizon system that the post office insisted that he used.